Feeling guilty can slowly consume a person's life. Evelyn Carter knew this all too well. For 22 years, she had carried a burden she could never seem to put down. She believed she had ruined an extraordinary student's future. A simple form on a crowded desk. A recommendation letter that was never mailed. A mistake she did not discover until it was far too late. Sarah had the grades, she had the ambition, she had the future she deserved. Then the letter came. Scholarship denied. The light in Sarah's eyes seemed to vanish. Even now, 22 years later, Evelyn could still feel the weight of that moment. One forgotten piece of paper. One missed opportunity. One life she believed she had altered forever. She judged herself harshly. Again and again, she replayed the memory of Sarah leaving the classroom, head bowed, dreams dismantled. Stillwater House. You will not find it on any map. It is a place that appears only when a heart is ready to heal. And when the lesson has been learned, the bridge returns to heaven. Margaret stood at the front window, watching the stream flow beneath the bridge. The ones who struggle the most, she said softly, are usually the kindest. She was not looking at the water. She was looking at the woman sitting quietly beside the fire, a woman holding on to a secret. Margaret turned to Graham. She's ready. Graham smiled gently. The night is coming. And the truth is waiting. Later that evening, Margaret joined Evelyn outside on the porch. The air was cool. The lanterns glowed softly along the path. The two women sat together, wrapped in blankets, sipping mugs of hot chocolate. For a while they spoke of simple things, then gradually the conversation found its way to Sarah. And finally, Margaret asked a question no one had asked in 22 years. Evelyn, did you ever try to find her? Evelyn stared into her mug. No. Margaret looked surprised. No? A tear slipped down Evelyn's cheek. I couldn't. Why not? Evelyn took a shaky breath. Because I was afraid. The silence stretched between them. I was afraid I'd find the woman I destroyed. I didn't want to see disappointment in her eyes. Her voice trembled. I didn't want to learn what my mistake cost her. Another tear followed. So I told myself it was kinder to leave her alone. She looked into the darkness beyond the porch. But the truth is... Margaret waited patiently. The truth is, I was protecting myself. Margaret reached for her hand. Sweetheart, guilt was never meant to be a home. It was meant to be a teacher. Evelyn listened quietly. We cannot change yesterday. We can only allow yesterday to change us. The stream sparkled beneath the moonlight. But your story was never about a mistake. It was about a woman who spent her life helping children believe in themselves. Evelyn lowered her eyes. What if I never completely forgive myself? Margaret smiled. Then start by showing yourself the same compassion you've spent a lifetime giving everyone else. The women embraced before saying goodnight. Then each disappeared into the quiet halls of Stillwater House. That night, the house breathed. The veil gently lifted. Evelyn entered a very vivid dream. She found herself standing upon the bridge behind the inn. The stream shimmered with golden light, and there, waiting for her, stood Sarah. Not the frightened teenager Evelyn remembered, but the woman she had become. Confident, kind, radiant. Sarah smiled. Mrs. Carter, If I knew you were suffering, I would have told you everything." Tears filled Evelyn's eyes. "You believed one missed opportunity defined my life." It didn't. Life found me anyway. Losing the scholarship forced me to attend a local college. There I met the professor who inspired my career. There I met my husband. There I found the life I was meant to live. Sarah gently took Evelyn's hands. "You taught me something long before the scholarship." Evelyn looked up. "What was that?" Sarah smiled. "To keep going when life doesn't go according to plan." The next morning, Evelyn awoke remembering every word, every smile, every truth. Sometimes redemption is not about being forgiven by others. Sometimes redemption is learning to forgive yourself. Leaving Stillwater House felt different, lighter. As she drove toward the highway, she glanced into her rearview mirror and froze. The inn was disappearing. The gardens, the porch, the bridge, all dissolving into morning light. Evelyn pulled over and stepped from her car. She stood in silence as Stillwater House vanished completely. Logic whispered one explanation. Faith whispered another. And deep within her heart, Evelyn knew the truth. Grace had found her. And for the first time in 22 years, Evelyn Carter no longer carried the weight of a single forgotten letter. She carried something far more powerful: peace. The morning sun warmed her face as she climbed back into her car. Ahead of her stretched an ordinary road, but Evelyn knew she was no longer the same woman who had arrived the day before. Some lessons arrive as answers, some arrive as grace, and some arrive disguised as forgiveness. She started the engine and smiled, then drove toward the life that had been waiting for her all along. Final thought. Perhaps there is something in your life you have been carrying for years. A mistake, a regret, a moment you wish you could undo. But what if the story did not end where you thought it did? What if grace has been quietly working behind the scenes all along? Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. And sometimes healing begins the moment we realize we were never meant to carry the burden forever. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and join us again at Stillwater House, where every bridge leads home.